Late last night, an article was published on rollingstones.com titled The i-dle, How HBO's Next Euphoria Became Twisted Torture Porn. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this show and why I'm talking about it, it's because Jennie from Blackpink is going to be in the show. She's been cast in a secondary character's position, and her involvement in the show and everything else surrounding the show has been exposed in this Rolling Stones article, and we need to talk about how problematic it is. Before you start with this video, I would highly recommend that you read the article in its entirety. I have seen a lot of people talking about it on Twitter, and they've clearly not read the entire article, have just read the snippets of it that are being circulated online. So I would recommend that you read this article before you watch the rest of the video. The link for the article is in the description below. But the article details the hell that was the production of this show. From changing directors to incomplete scripts to overshot budgets and everything in between. The show, in their words, was a production from hell. The show initially was being directed by Amy Seimetz. If you're unfamiliar with her, she was the woman who created the movie She Dies Tomorrow. It's a great movie. I would recommend everyone watch it. It's very nicely done. But with her being in the show and being involved as a director for the show and the creator of the show, the way the i-dle was being produced was going in a positive direction. Now, even in the article, they talk about how much of an issue she was having with the way HBO was handling things. But she shot essentially 80% of the show, and only the finale was left before she was removed, and they had to change the entire direction of the show. Now, from the article's alleged claims, it was The Weeknd who asked for her removal from the show. He is the co-creator of the show, and apparently he didn't like the show and her direction style because it was focusing on too much of a feminist perspective and too female driven a show. He essentially, from the article, you can read about instances where he only wants the show to be about him. And when Sam Levinson was brought on board, it was because of The Weeknd and the direction that he wants the show to be taken. Now, from going from Amy Seimetz to Sam Levinson is as funny as a joke as it can get. These are two creators with two extremely different points of view of creation, and the projects that they've created over the years will tell you exactly that. But he was brought on to take over, and he is probably, I don't know, if you want an example of what a walking red flag is, that's this man. He is the creator of the show Euphoria. Now, if you know anything about the show, you know how problematic it has been. Even though season 1 was highly acclaimed, season 2 saw where a lot of the cracks in the behind the scenes creation of the show, in the over-sexualization of teenage characters of the show, in glorifying drug abuse of the show. The show is just problematic all around, and he is the brain behind the show. So he is just as, if not more, problematic. I mean, he treats his cast horribly. There are so many actresses on the sets of his shows, like Euphoria, who have spoken up about how uncomfortable they felt with the nudity that the show has. Even actress Barbie Ferreira has talked about how the work environment was not good for the cast, and that's why she's no longer part of the show. Even the crew has spoken up about how horrible the set is, with one person in this Rolling Stones article claiming that they will never ever work with him again. There was also a quote in the article that he allegedly said that he can do whatever he wants with this show, and HBO will let him do whatever they want. if they want a season 3 of Euphoria from him. So he's basically an entitled prick. The way he has handled Euphoria and the way this show is being handled is a good indicator of how this man shouldn't be allowed to have the platform that he does. But that's that. If you're familiar with what the show's plot is supposed to be, it is about the music industry and how this self-help guru becomes a modern day cult leader, and the show focuses on the cult leaders being played by The Weeknd. The show focuses on the relationship this said cult leader has with a rising pop star that is being played by Lily Depp. Now, she is pretty problematic on her own. If you need more instances, her last name's Depp. She's Johnny Depp's daughter. That should start with a line of problematic behavior from her. But she is, the way she handled the conversation about being called a nepotism baby, the work that she's done, she is just one of those rich, entitled white women. And her being associated with this show doesn't surprise me a lot. And, the kind of image that she portrays of herself and the person that she wants to be, it seems very fitting that she would end up being in a show like this. What isn't okay is her glorifying both Sam Levinson and The Weeknd and talking about how, wonderful they are when, from this article, from behind the scenes, we've heard that they're not. But focusing less on them and coming to the storyline. The show initially, when under Amy, was supposed to be about this troubled woman falling victim to the predatory industry that the music industry is, and how she fights to reclaim her own agency. In this article, they quote, the show has since then, with Sam Levinson taking over, become more of a, I don't think I can say this word without getting demonetized, but the R-word fantasy that any toxic man would have in the show, and the female character comes back for more because it makes her music better. This is a quote from the article. This is what someone's opinion on the show is after working behind the scenes with it. And knowing Sam Levinson and frankly knowing The Weeknd as well, it's not surprising that this is the kind of show that they're creating, and a show about a toxic music industry environment ends up having its own toxic infiltration behind the scenes is not surprising to me at all. But it gets so bad. I mean, if you've read the article, you've read about the graphic scenes that they wanted to shoot between The Weeknd and Lily Depp and how they wanted to glorify abuse, which is so problematic. And, Jennie being a part of all of this is big red flag on her part. So let's talk about her. Let's talk about her involvement in the show. Let's talk about her character and why, she deserves a lot of criticism for what her involvement in the show has been. So it did come out recently that she is playing a secondary character. She joined the show after Sam Levinson was made director. I know there are a lot of people who are trying to justify her involvement with the show by saying, no, she joined in with the original cast. No. Read the article. It very well says that when Sam Levinson became the main creator of the show, he was the one who added the star cast, and she was added to the show after he became the main creator of the show. So she read the script. That was as dehumanizing, as problematic as it's being described, and decided this was the role that she wanted to start off her acting career with. I don't know. I just don't understand how someone could do that. I don't understand how someone would read a script which is, like the article says, glorifying abuse and think that she should be a part of this. Her character, they also do emphasize in the article how she has been pushed to a side character, and to the point that she has 3-4 lines per episode. So she's not even a secondary character, she's probably a tertiary character in the show. And we can talk about how dehumanizing it would have been for her as well. So when we're talking about her in its entirety, we have to also see that she could have also been a prey of these, big men at HBO, these big men working behind the scenes, and how they have dehumanized her by making her character, as the article says, someone who's supposed to sit there and look pretty. But her character is also apparently bisexual, which in the way they've described the show, I'm pretty sure is going to be as biphobic as it gets in terms of romanticizing women who like women and over-sexualizing a bisexual character, which is another issue that is not talked about a lot. I don't like the fact that non-queer actors play non-queer characters, but that's something that's been normalized so much that lots of people aren't going to say anything about it. But yeah, she joins the cast after this problematic man takes over. Not to mention, in interviews about the show that she has done, she says that she's been a fan of his work. This is a quote from her. And when she got to meet and talk about the possibilities of being in the show, it worked out really well for her, and that she was very excited to be a part of this show. She also says, as soon as I read the script, I felt like it was so compelling that I really wanted to be a part of it. I'm so excited. I will work hard, so I hope you will see it with warm eyes. This is an actual quote from her in the YG press release about her being on the show. So she's clearly actively picking this role for herself. This is a choice that she made. She wants to be a part of a script that is so horribly misogynistic and so horribly racist as well. Remember all of the issues about her culturally appropriating black culture for this character? I don't understand how after all of this information that's there about her, people still have the audacity to go online and defend her like she is not a part of the problem. Is she the biggest problem in the situation? Absolutely not. If you're going to criticize her, you better criticize Sam Levinson and The Weeknd 10 times more than you are going to criticize her, because they are the bigger problem here. But her encouraging this, her coming into the show with probably the biggest fan base on the show, and validating the show and these practices by being a part of it, is just disgusting. I really think she's really showing you who she truly is recently. I feel like initially when they debuted in the first few years of her career, we got to see a very tamed, over produced is the word, I'm not sure, but a very cookie cutter image of her, and now she's showing who she truly is, and it's not nice. It's not nice at all. I mean, you watch her renew her contract with YG Entertainment and condone him and all of the nonsense that he has done. It's disappointing that she is one of the biggest female idols and she is not doing a good job at representing women and representing young women who will be watching this show, who are her fans, who will watch this show. My God. If you are someone who's defending her, I want you to take a minute to understand what you're doing and actually read through everything about this. You have to be able to look at this situation with a more critical lens and not through a lens of fangirl. She is in the wrong here for actively partaking in the show and coming in with the big platform that she can. She could have left the show at any point of time, but she chose to stay there for her own gain at the cost of how many people in the production crew. My God, this is just disappointing. I'm really disappointed with her and the way the show is turning out. So I'm not going to be watching it. If you're going to be watching it, I hope you know what you're doing by condoning these people and allowing shows that, create such problematic, such toxic work environments behind the scenes, by promoting them and encouraging them, and you are part of the problem as well.